Hi guys, how y'all doing? Adjust my ankle. All right, I'm gonna give another minute or so for people to join. Equipment list today. You'll need a broomstick or a beach towel or something that you can hold on to that's pretty wide and light. And then I've got a stability ball, which is optional. And finally, I've got a foam roller. Again, that's optional. We'll do some of that work at the end. All right, so I'll give you a minute to get your equipment. I'm gonna go ahead and start working on a warm up. So the first one, today's gonna be a little bit different. We're gonna pull one knee nice and high towards your chest here. Try to really drive it up. If you need something to balance with, that's okay. I wanna pull a little across my body with that. Again, if you need something to balance with, hold on to something there. Same thing with the other side. Start straight up. And give it a little pull across your body there too. And if you can rotate a little bit the opposite direction. It started happening last winter. There you go. See if we can get that. All right, arms in and out. I'm subbing out Kelsey for Indy this week. All right, wide stance. Let's reach way up and across one way. I'm going to kind of form that into a flowing all the way around. And then same thing with this other side, all the way around. 2, 3, 4, 5. I do have shoes on today. 6, because we'll be doing some lunging. 7, and that can be a little tough on the toes. 8, 9, one more. There's my 10. Good, let's do some warm-up lunges, nice and easy. I'm stepping backwards into a lunge and then back together. You can make these a little half lunge if you'd like. 2. Think of them as a warm-up, just getting the movement going. 4, 5, 6, 7. Let's go 3 more steps. 3, 2, and 1. Nice job. When I'm doing a lunge, or if you're doing them on your own, one thing I want you to try to focus on is I always step backwards initially. So back here, that helps me keep my weight in my heel, not up in my toe. And notice my knee is over the top of my foot. It doesn't have to be way back here. It can be up over, kind of in line with my toe, as long as it's not driving way out in front. So often I see when people step forward, they like to move their whole body forward into that. Let's go for some warm-up squats. Wide stance. Easy, down and up. So let's go for 10 here. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 2 more, nice and low. I'm gonna feel a little stretch at the bottom. And there's your 10, good. So I want you to grab your broomstick or your towel. We're going to have a really wide grip on this thing. I'm going to start off with one hand going up and around. Going to make a circle all the way around your body. And then go back to that starting point. So let's do a couple more this direction. A big range. 2, 3. We should be getting a little stretch in your obliques, some in your shoulders, maybe a little bit in your chest. And there's my 5. I'm going to switch directions now. Opposite way, out and around. And then back. One side should feel a little bit awkward in comparison to the other. 2, 3. Big range. 4. Last one. And there's 5. If you're using a towel, that's going to be a little bit harder because you have to keep tension outward. If I've got a broomstick, it's pretty easy. So this would be beginner. The towel would be a little bit more advanced. Let's go down and let's do a couple of deep lunges here. I'm going to go to the floor, step way back, And try to feel a little bit of a stretch in both the hip that's up front, more in like the outside or back here, and then the other leg on the hip flexor area, the front of that hip. So I'm gonna hold a few seconds and then I'm gonna switch. Hold a couple seconds, switch. Notice I'm up in my fingertips. If you can see that in the camera. If you go all the way down to your palms, try that. We're at 4. Let's go one more each side. 5. And 6. Our last little warm up is going to be going to the side, getting an inner thigh stretch. You can use your elbow or forearm to support you. Up in the middle, and then down to the other side. Same thing, we're gonna hold a couple seconds. Not too long. Enough to get our muscles kind of warm. A little bit looser, but not overstretching. So one more each side. 5. And there's my 6. How about a little twist, side to side? And we'll do some jumping jacks in and we'll get rolling. If you're just joining, looks like I've had a few more people join recently. The equipment list is over here on this side of the screen. Make sure you've got a foam roller, a broomstick, or a towel. Go ahead and grab a couple dumbbells today. That's one thing I didn't put on the list. We'll throw in a couple dumbbell exercises and a stability ball if you have one. If you don't have any of that stuff, follow along or get modifications. All right, jumping jacks, 30 seconds. 5. I'm just gonna count off 30 jumping jacks. That should be pretty close to that half minute. 8, 9, 10, 11, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19. There's 20 in, 10 more repetitions. 4, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 30. Good. Today is a combination of strength and mobility. So mobility is kind of combining flexibility and strength together. So let's grab your broomstick or your towel. Notice I'm really wide with my hands here. That's going to be so I can get all the way up overhead. From a side view, notice that I'm getting higher than here. I'm pulling way back to where I feel a bit of a stretch through my chest and shoulders. I'm combining that with a big forward lunge. So I'm going to shoot for 8 out of each side. So I'm going to start off with my right foot, way out front. I'm reaching overhead with that bar, and then pulling back in together. I'm going to alternate feet. Left foot. There's 2. This is longer than our normal lunge. I've got a big stride here. 3, 4, 5. So 8 per side. 6, 7, 8, and we're halfway through. Let's go 8 more. 2. Try to keep most of that weight in the front foot and your heel. 3. And try to avoid going all up in the toe there. 4, 5, 6. Keep your belly intake. 7. And there's my 8. When I do that overhead reach, try to snug up your stomach. That way we're not arching your back to get the range of motion that's coming from my shoulders and upper back to do that pull. If you have pain or discomfort, limit that height. Okay. All right, next up, I've got a Romanian deadlift to an overhead reach. So we're still using the stick here. I'm gonna grab a little bit narrower on this one, not quite as wide. And I'm doing a Romanian deadlift, which is 1 foot kicking back. I try to get a stretch right here in my hamstring, the back of the leg. Hold, and as I pull up, I'm gonna bring that bar all the way overhead. So down at your reach towards your toe. So it's a hinge, and then we're pulling that up. 2, same thing, 8 per side. Hinge. 3, hop back where I'm not hitting that. 4. So try to avoid letting your back round to get further down. I want you to flat spine and keeping that bar pretty close to your shin at the bottom of the lift. 5, 3 more on this leg. 6, How high overhead can you go without arching your back? 7. And there's my 8. Nice job. I should be burning that leg just a little, the one that you're balancing on. All right, so same thing with the opposite foot. Get your balance first. We're gonna hinge at the waist, get a nice stretch in that leg you're standing on, and then pull overhead at the top with that knee coming up in front of you. Let's try another 8 repetitions. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Try to keep your hips as square as you can here. 7 and 8. Good. And what I mean by keeping your hips square is when I kick back, I want to imagine I've got a pivot point through my hips here. And I don't want to let that pivot point shift one direction. So often I'll see people, to get more range of motion, they open their hip here, but that's twisting our spine and kind of giving you a false sense of how far you can get. Next up, let's grab your dumbbells, or if you've got a barbell, use your barbell. I'm going to hold these in close together, and let's go for an upright row. So I'm pulling my elbows higher than my hands, and keeping that close to my body if I look from the side. So I'm not out here in front. Okay, let's go for 15 here. Ready? And pull. Slow on the way down. Exhale up. 2, 3. Try to feel like you're using your shoulders and upper back to do that lift. 4, 5, 6. Notice my elbows are always a little higher than my hands, even at the top. 7, 8, 9, 10. Let's keep them rolling. 5 more repetitions. 5, 4, 3, 2. Last one. Nice job. Good. All right, let's give your arms a little bit of a break. The next one is part of a squat progression. So that's a cycle that we do where you reach to your toes, you squat, you raise your hands up, and you stand. So let's go to the bottom of that lift or that progression, and we're working on just one arm rotating up and back. So I'm gonna give you a side view first. So wide stance here. I'm down as low as I can go, heels on the floor. My elbows are tucked inside of my elbows or my knees. And I'm gonna lift one arm up and back as far as I can reach. So I'll give you a front view. Nice wide stance. I'm squatting nice and low. And I've got one arm up and back. Notice this elbow is driving to the inside of that knee. So up and back and relax. And I'm gonna go to the other side. Up and back and relax. And I've got a marker on the ceiling. I can see where the wall meets the ceiling. And I'm trying to hit that point on each side. Often somebody will have an imbalance where one side's a little tighter than the other. Good. 5, 6. Let's go 4 more for 10. 7, 8. And that's okay if you can't reach as far back on one side, as long as you're trying hard on each. That's good. And there's my 10. Good. Take a little breather. It requires some strength to stay down in that squat, and then mobility through my shoulders and upper back in order to get that rotation and reach. All right, a little breather, get you a drink. And I'm gonna go through that same cycle of 4 exercises. So find your towel or broomstick. We're gonna go to that big stride forward lunge with the barbell overhead. So here's the challenge. If you've got the mobility, I'm gonna have you go all the way overhead, tap your butt, and then pull back to the front at the top. Now we're ready, we're gonna alternate feet. We're gonna stride forward, rotate all the way around, tap, and then we're pulling back to the front as you stride in. Other foot. 2, take it slow and steady. 3, 4. You may find if you go a little bit wider on your broomstick, you can do that. 5. If you're too narrow, that makes it too challenging. 6, 7. I'm halfway through here. 8. Let's get 8 more repetitions in. Remember to keep your belly in tight. 1, 2. Don't let your low back arch. 3, 4, 6, 2 reps. 7. And there's my 8, good. Notice how wide that grip is on my broomstick. I'm almost all the way to the outside. For the next one, I'm gonna bring it in just a little closer and that bar should lower down. So I go from here to here and that bar drops just a little bit. So I'm going for the one leg deadlift, kicking back my opposite foot. And I'm gonna raise that bar overhead at the top. Balance on the one side, kick way back behind you. Get a nice stretch in that leg you're balancing on, and pull all the way overhead at the top. 1. This is going to be tricky on balance. 2. If you need help here, you can just step your foot down at the top and do that same overhead reach. 3. 4, or you can use the edge of your couch to touch and hold here in your hands, and then touch your foot up on top of the couch there, the top of that lift. Where are we at here? 7-ish. And I'm calling that one 8. All right, switching sides. Same thing here, balance on the one foot. Kick back. And pull overhead, nice high knee at the front. 1. The higher I pull my one knee, 2. The more the other glute works to stabilize my hips and to keep me balanced. 4. So if you like working your glutes, pull that other knee really high. 6. Let's go 2 more repetitions here. Nice job, good. All right, we're gonna find our dumbbells again. I'll give you a minute to shake your arms a little. And let's go for another set of those upright rows. Hands close, weights close into your body, and our elbows are lifting higher than your hands. All right. All right, weights all the way in together. Tighten up your core. It's always a good practice on the standing exercise. Ready? Pull your elbows higher than your hands and close to your body. 2, going for 15 repetitions here. 3, 4, exhale to the top. 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 4 more. Notice how we're controlling those weights on the way down. 12, we're not letting gravity just take them down. 13, 14, last one, and there's 15. Nice job. All right, one more in that little circuit is going to be the squat progression one arm reach. Let's go 10 repetitions, alternating from one side to the other. If you're finding this one difficult, take your broomstick or your towel. We're going to lay that down on the floor, and you're going to prop your heels up on that broomstick. So what that does is, for those people who have tight ankles or poor mobility in your ankles, it allows you to squat just a little bit lower without straining too much through your hips and low back. So we're starting here, reaching one arm up and back. Hold for a second and bring it back. Up and back. There's 2, good. 3, all the way to 10. 4, 5, exhale at the top of each repetition. 6, 7, 8, 2 to go. 9, and there's our 10. Nice job. All right. Take a little breather, and I want to grab this stability ball. If you don't have a stability ball, that's okay. You can do these exercises on the floor. So I'm going to grab my 15-pound dumbbells and go for a chest fly. So a couple common things that I'll see here as people do this exercise. Let me switch my hat around. Are going to be the starting position sometimes can be a little bit off. I want you to draw a line straight up from the middle or upper portion of your chest, and that's where our weight should be. We should also keep just a slight bend to your elbows, but we don't want to bend your elbows a whole lot as you go down. So for my front view, where you can see the angle of that bend, we're here, I want to make sure you don't get more bend as you go down, because then we're turning it into a press. We need to make sure we're going out nice and wide and keeping about that same bend to the elbows through the whole range of motion. You ready? All the way down. If you're on a stability ball, trying to get the elbows or the backside of your arms to touch the ball at the bottom of your lift. 2. Let's see if you can make 15. 3. 4. Let's keep your hips engaged. So that means they're not low down and resting on the ball. 6. Try to keep your belly engaged as well. 7. And that's going to stabilize you on the ball. 8. 9. 10. Really wide down there at the bottom with a slight bend to the elbows. And 4 more to go. 12. 13. 14. 1 minute. You got it. Nice job. All right, so we're going to drop one weight, and we're moving on to a pullover. So I'm going to give you a different view here where I'm rolling out. I've got about the same position with my body. My head's supported, my hips are engaged, my abs are engaged, but I'm starting with holding this weight on either side of it here. And I'm going to keep a little bit into my elbows as I reach high overhead, and I pull back over my chest. So really high, as far as you can reach without your shoulders giving you too much discomfort, and back over. 2, we're going for that same 15 repetitions. 3, 4, 5. If you're on the ground, see if you can touch the floor with just the weight there. 6, or I stick my thumbs out and I try to just tap my thumb to the ground before I pull back up. 7, 8, 9, 10. 5 more to go. 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Nice job. Give me 1 second. I've got the windows open and it's blowing the door shut. Be right back. All right. Next up. So we're doing a stability ball crunch. I'm going to roll out, and this time I'm not quite rolling as far. I'm going to keep my low back supported on the ball, but my upper back, head, and neck are all off the ball. Hands go behind my head, and I'm going to make sure that I'm not pulling my chin to my chest. My chin is up. I'm going to think about keeping my hips stable, and I'm going to arch over the ball through my spine, and then from there, my ribs should be pretty far away from my hips. So if I look at this distance here, it's expanded, and we're going to crunch up to where that distance shortens. So I've kind of increased as I arched, and then decrease that distance as I squeeze together there. And I should feel that right there in my abdomen. One thing I don't want you to do is notice my hip position. I don't want you to let them drop and then raise, because then we're working on just a hinge at the waist. I want to make sure that motion's coming from your spine. So ready? Let's arch over. And we're pulling up, but we're not pulling all the way. Notice I've got a little lean back. That's going to keep constant tension on your abdomen. 2, and make it the exercise a little bit more beneficial for you. 3, 4, 5. Let's go 15 here. 6, 7. If you're doing this one right, you should get a pretty good burn. 8 with a small range of motion. 9. We're keeping constant tension on there. You're not giving yourself a break at the top. 11. 4 more. 12. 13. 14. Nice and controlled. And there's your 15 in. Nice job. So same thing from the floor. You're just on your back, lifting and crunching your rib cage towards your hips. So it's not a sit-up, just a crunch. Let's go back to the chest fly, nice and wide. If you observe me from above, weights are over my chest. I'm out for a nice stretch down here at the bottom, and then I squeeze in together, keeping that same bend to my elbows throughout the whole range of motion. Let's grab those. Let's go for 15 more repetitions. Hips are engaged, abs engaged, a little bend to the elbows. Let's get a stretch at the bottom of the lift, and then squeeze back in together. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 5 more. Good repetitions. Everything's still in place. 5, 4, 3, 2. Man, you got it. Good. Let's take one of those weights away. Let's keep the other one, and let's go for that lat pullover. If you're on your back on this one, make sure that your knees are bent and your feet are either on the floor or pulled up off the ground, depending on how much core engagement you'd like. Make sure you're not straightening your legs on that one because that can be tough on your back. All right, overhead. Let's give a nice reach and then pull back to that starting position. 1. Control both ways. 2. I'm going to exhale as I pull up. 3, 4, 5. You should feel this one kind of in the back side of your armpit. 6, or your lats. 7. It also hits the muscles deeper down called your serratus anterior. 8. But you're important in this pulling down motion. 9, 10. 5 more to go here. 5, 4, 3, 2. And you got it. Nice job. All right. So let's go one more of those crunches. And one thing I want to do for you here is alternate. Instead of straight up the middle, we're going to go crossways this direction and then cross the other way. So we still want to focus on the same things of contracting this rib cage down towards my opposite hip, but keeping my chin away from my chest. My hips are stable. I'm letting my spine and abdomen do the work here. So elbows are to support your head. We're going to crunch your right rib cage up towards your left hip. And again, we're not coming all the way up to here. I don't necessarily get any more benefit out of that once I pass that plane of upright. 3, 4, 5, 6. Let's go for 10, then we'll switch. 7, 8, 9. There's my 10. Take a little bit of a breather. Let's try 10 that other direction. Ready? And up. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 3 more. 8, 9. And there's our 10. Good. And you should get a pretty good burn through your abdomen, even with just a short range of motion there again. Let's take a breather, get you a drink, and I'm going to another barbell or that towel work. Leg press, and then find a dumbbell. Right back 1 second, let me get my water. All right, so we'll find your barbell. And this one's kind of more of a mobility than it is a strength. We're gonna start with that bar overhead again. And we're gonna do a windmill to the opposite toe. So I've got a wide stance, a little bit of bend of each knee. And I'm gonna start with the barbell here. I'm gonna try to reach my right hand all the way down towards my left foot. Bring it back up, and then the left hand all the way down towards my right foot. Let's see if you can keep your knees straight on this one. If you need to bend a little bit, that's okay. Ready? Down towards the other side. Up, and then to the other cross. 2. Get your hands nice and wide. That'll give you more stretch at the bottom. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Let's hit 3 more repetitions. You're almost there. 10, 11. Last one. And there's my 12. Good. All right, after that one, let's grab a dumbbell. We're doing a dumbbell row or a one-arm row to an overhead press. So this should work the muscles through your arm and back, and then also a little bit through your core, obliques, as we do a bit of a rotation. So just as a demo, one foot's in front, my left hand has the weight, my left foot is back, and I'm gonna try to center my body between my 2 feet. So I wanna make sure that I'm not way back here, and I'm not all over this front foot here. It's kind of centered up, even weight distribution between those two. My back is flat, it's pretty close to parallel to the floor. I'm gonna row, then at the top, I'm pushing that weight all the way overhead. Let's see if we can maybe touch the floor and then rotate and push. Okay, ready? Let's go for 10 out of each of these 2 sides. To the floor, up, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Let's go 2 more. 10. Who can make 12? 11. And there's my 12. Nice job. All right, let's give it a little breather, and let's do the same count with the other arm. You can always lighten your load if that's a little bit tough to push overhead. One thing I want you to notice is if you looked at me from a front view, my feet are pretty close to in line. I don't want to have a wide stance here as I do that twist. Try to bring them in. Imagine you're on a line. The left foot's just to the left, right foot's just to the right. So I'm switching sides. My right arm has the weight. My right foot's back. I'm centered up between my 2 feet, but I've got a little bit of bend up here to this leg. I'm flattening my spine. Tap the floor. Up and rotate. 1, 2, 3. And hold it for just a little pause at the top of each rep. 5, 6. Got to keep both toes pointing forward. 7. And don't let them drift to one direction. 8, 9, 10. 2 more. 11. And there's my 12. All right. We'll shake out, and we're working on those same 2 exercises here. Got my barbell, really wide grip on this thing, nice and wide. I've got a wide stance, trying to keep my knees pretty straight. And we're going 12 repetitions with that big windmill motion. So bars overhead. I'm trying to go all the way down to the opposite foot. And let's do a little pause at the bottom of each rep so you feel a stretch. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 4 more for 12. 9, 10, 11. Last one. Yeah, Max. And there's my 12. Nice job. All right. Taking a breather. Swig of water. All right. So we're going back to our 1-arm row with an overhead press. So this one should be working on the strength in our arm and back, and the mobility through your thoracic spine. That middle portion kind of all the way just to about here. I start with my left hand, holding the weight. My left foot is behind me. Okay, get your balance. Remember, our feet are somewhat close in together if we do a line forwards and backwards. We're not standing too wide. I got a flat spine. Let's tap the floor, pull, and push to the top with a little pause at the top of each rep. 2, 3, 4. Your weight should be making a pretty straight line from the floor up to the ceiling. So that means I'm not going out and around as I do that row. I'm not going to go out here to do that twist. I'm keeping it here and then pressing to the top. Nice straight line. 7, 8, 4 more. 4, 3, 2, and you got it. Nice job. Let's switch sides. That was my left arm and left foot back. Now I'm going to do my right hand holding the weight, right foot behind me. All right. So not too wide with your stance. You got a little distance between there. Toes are pointing forward. Get a flat spine. Start on the ground. Pull to overhead. 1, 2. This side feels a lot more natural for me. 3, and it's easier to balance. So if you're feeling the same thing, that's okay. 6, 7, all the way to 12 repetitions. I think I'm on 8, 9, 10, 11, and 12. Good. All right, we are moving along. Next up, we've got a sequence here of a deep lunge. We practice a little bit of that in the warm-up. Then we're going to go to a downward dog and 2 push-ups. So let me show you what that looks like just for demonstration. Starting in a high plank or top of a push-up, I'm going to stride 1 foot as far forward as I can get. So I'm going to try to shoot for between my feet. If you can't make it that far, that's okay. Just get as high up as you can, and then we step back. Then we do your other foot for about a 2-second hold, and then back. Feet should be shoulder width here, and we're going to do a downward dog for a couple seconds. 1, 2. Then I go into 2 push-ups. 1, 2. So it's that same 2, 2, 2. We're doing 2 lunges, 2 seconds on our downward dog, and then 2 push-ups. Let's see if we can make 5 cycles on that. So high plank to start. Palms are our fingers pointing forward. Tight core, feet shoulder width apart. I'm going to stride as far forward as I can. And then back. Other foot. Back. I'm going to do a downward dog for 2 seconds. 1, 2. Then a push-up for 2 count. 1. If you need to modify your push-up, go to your knees. Foot up. Other foot. Back. Downward dog. 2. Push-ups. 1, 2. Notice my knees are inside of my elbows, underneath my chest, and I'm not going to the outside of my arms. Down dog. 2 push-ups. Foot up. Other foot. Downward dog. 2 push-ups. 1 more. Foot. Other foot. Downward dog. Push-ups. 1, 2. There we go. All right, the next one, I'm going to lower the camera down just a little. And we're working on your mobility through your spine and a little bit through your hips here as well. So we're going to go down to the floor in a T position. I'm going to start with my arms out to the side, feet are up. I'm going to try to keep my shoulders on the ground and lower my feet all the way to one side. Tap and hold, and then back up to the other side. Same thing. Tap and hold. Ready? So start in the middle, and let's lower all the way down. Tap. Back up to the other side. Hold. 2. Let's see if we can make it to 10 repetitions here. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Let's go 2 more after this one. Let's do 12. 10, 11, and there's my 12. Good. All right, last one in the circuit. Let's go to your belly and a prone press up onto your hands here. My hips are on the floor, I'm looking up. And I'm just gonna hold about 20 seconds on this one. Hey buddy. Thank you. Thank you. All right. So let's go back into that first one, the deep lunge, the downward dog, and the push-up, each one for 2. We're making 5 cycles on it, so starting from a high plank position. So one foot goes forward and hold, switch feet, downward dog, 1 Mississippi, 2 Mississippi, 2 push-ups, 1, 2 lunge, other foot, downward dog, push-ups, lunge, switch feet, the down dog, 2 more push-ups. That's 3. Let's go 2 more cycles for 5. Lunge, switch. Again, your knees are between your arms, downward dog, and not to the outside of your arms. Push-ups. 1 more cycle. Lunge, lunge, downward dog, 2 push-ups. Nice job. All right, arms a little bit of a break. We're gonna lay to your back. Arms go in that T position. If you're finding it hard to keep your shoulders down, one thing you can use is dumbbells for an anchor point. So, I'll do that with you. Let's see if that works. All right, feet up over your hips. Try to keep your shoulders down, lower. And then return to the other side. 2. Let's go to 12 again. Slow and control through the whole range. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 2 left. 11. And there's 12. All right, I'm gonna skip over that last press up and let me demonstrate a few of the foam roller exercises I want you to do. So I'll just do a quick demonstration and I'll leave it for you to do those for as long as you feel necessary. The first one, I'm gonna place the foam roller underneath my shoulder blades or just at the base of my shoulder blades. So it's gonna be in the middle of our thoracic spine or T-spine. Hands go behind my head, my hips are on the floor, and I'm gonna arch over the top of the roller without arching my low back. So one way to make sure we're not arching your back is to squeeze your belly, and we're gonna keep those abdomen muscles squeezed in tight. So from here, I arch my upper back without arching my lower back. It's a little bit challenging to do, but we should feel a slight pressure in that upper middle portion of your spine, kind of pushing forward or up towards your lungs. I'm gonna hold that for about 15, 20 seconds, and then give myself a little break out of it. If that's not quite intense enough for you, one thing we can do is to reach your arms up overhead with you, and that gives you a little bit longer lever arm and more leverage on that portion of your spine. But again, make sure that we're tight here, and we're not letting your low back arch to get more range of motion. That gives you a false sense of how far you're getting. Okay, that's one. The next would be to do an IT band roll. That's from here to here on the outside of the leg. We never want to roll right over the top of bones, so we don't want to go over the top of the knee joint. We also don't want to roll right on top of that hip joint. So between those two are where we're trying to target. You can support yourself from your elbow, is my favorite. You can also come up to the hand, whatever's more comfortable for you. I've also got this other hand as a support point and my other foot. So I've got 3 points of contact, able to control how much pressure I put down into my roller. So we're going to roll the upper half for a good 30 seconds to a minute. If you find areas that are a little tight or tender, try to hang out and put a lot of pressure in those spots. So hold 5, 10, 20 seconds, then move on, or just kind of slowly roll back out of that spot. And then I'll have you switch to the lower portion. So I'll move my body back up, and now I'm going like halfway down my thigh to that upper portion of my knee, without hitting the bony structures. And then we would do the same thing on the other side. And my final one is going to be the same thing for calves. So we've got some, not just your calves, but some deeper muscles down in here that also need to be rolled. So let's go one leg on there. My other leg crosses over the top to put more pressure down into it. And we can go from your hands, we lift, and we're just trying to put a lot of pressure down into that as you roll. Slow and steady. And again, if you find those points that feel tender or a little sensitive, try to really dig into them, hold 5, 10, 20 seconds, and then roll slowly back out of that. So one leg and then the other leg. All right, so that's where I'll leave you. I'll let you play around with those. And then look for Wednesday's workout is going to be an interactive workout. So I haven't structured the whole thing yet, but if you tune in over to the chat log, you're going to be able to participate and to like help determine how many repetitions or what exercises that we do. So stay tuned for that. I'll make it fun, and I'll be able to incorporate you guys into the workout too, whatever exercises you like the best, and however many repetitions and sets that you guys want to do. So let's do that Wednesday, and I'll see you then. Thanks everybody for joining. I'll see you next time.